Welcome out to another episode of It's All Been Trucked Before. This time, the Arsenal of Freedom. Yeah, I don't know why I did that voice. I should have given it a more regal talking to you. The Arsenal of Freedom. Wait, is it the or just Arsenal of Freedom? The Arsenal of Freedom. The one and only. Speaking of Arsenal, the IABD It's All Been Done Radio Hour is packed this weekend at Mad Lab, March 14th. 5 o'clock? Yes. Get out there. Get your tickets online, madlab.net. Check it out. Special episode, special guest, Janet Varney. You might know her. I know her from You're the Worst. Love her. Great improviser. Great voice actress. Doing some stuff. So come check her out this weekend at Mad Lab. Check out the whole crew. Universe Journey, gonna be in the house. If you like Star Trek, you're gonna love Universe Journey. Check it out. Once again, madlab.net. Get those tickets right now. Check out the Arsenal of Freedom on It's All Been Trekked Before.
Welcome out to another episode of It's All Been Trekked Before. Your Battle Bridge crew is here.
This is Steven.
And Keith.
Jimmy-Jerome. And we're led by Lieutenant LaForge. We're here to talk about the Arsenal of Freedom.
Arsenal of Freedom.
First impressions.
Interesting episode.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I mean, for several reasons. You know, very much like the last couple, for similar reasons. You know, the fleshing out of the ancillary characters.
Yeah. I thought I didn't love it, but I thought it was definitely an interesting episode. It seemed very, I'm gonna call it TOS. Just the landing party and the ship both had stuff going on in this episode. But I thought both stories were fairly interesting.
Although we got a lot more of the ship than TOS would have given us.
Oh yeah.
And TOS would have never put a black man in charge of the ship.
This is true too. And I'll get into that later. But yeah, which obviously seemed to be the focus of the episode. And I thought it was an interesting way to go with, Geordi getting some command experience and having it was like a training mission. It was like, it was a Wrath of Khan, except instead of Kirk taking over, the kids actually get to fly or whatever they say in Wrath of Khan. So.
Yeah, it hadn't occurred to me until just now, but it's also maybe the dual purpose of that anecdote at the beginning about the Riker and his experience with Paul Rice. And
that's a good
the test, and so Geordi is almost sort of stepping up into that role of taking a test.
You need that fourth option.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that story obviously reminds me super of Kirk.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Kobayashi Maru.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Like, let me make a whole new answer to your test.
I put down Rice maneuver.
He changed the rules.
Captain Paul Rice was played by Marco Rodriguez. You may know him from, as soon as this loads, Cobra, The Crow, House of Sand and Fog.
Wait, who was he in The Crow?
Torres.
Can't remember if he was like the...
He was also in an episode of the recent season of Veronica Mars.
Where I knew him from he was one of the Cubans on the Seinfeld episode, The English Patient.
Oh.
I immediately recognized him. I'm like, I know this guy from somewhere.
He played Guillermo.
Yes.
Seinfeld.
One of the cigar rollers?
Yeah.
Yeah, he had a small role. I didn't think he was that great in this.
It was weird. It was a weird part. And plus we get that story building up Rice, and then he's just this fake person, and it's entertaining when Riker just starts talking nonsense to it because he figured it out.
Yeah.
But then I guess he's dead, so I guess it doesn't matter. But
right.
It's still kind of a bummer. It's like, oh, here's this great guy. We're going to meet him. I wonder what he's up to. Well, he's dead. Don't worry about it. Forget about it. He's nothing.
To that point, I think the thing that might be disappointing about that is that we didn't have like a comparison to what he might have been like normally.
Yeah.
So it wasn't really important who he was or what he did. It was just the fact that Riker already knew what to look for, but we didn't know.
Oh,
so.
that's true. That's true. That's very true.
I thought he felt odd from the moment we saw him.
Yeah.
He seemed to have his heckles up for a while.
Yeah. I mean, I like the way he played it, but it could have been any character, I think is the point.
Oh, absolutely. It could have been the salesman again.
Right.
It didn't need to be a separate character.
Yeah.
Not really.
Well, no, I mean, it needed to be for that point, but it just, without the frame of reference, we didn't really get the feeling of there being, oh, God, that's not like that person. Mm-hmm. They're not doing the clue. Yeah.
Kind of felt like they just brought up the Drake to tell us that Riker was offered a command and chose to take the XO position on the Enterprise instead.
I thought so, too.
Were you surprised about that? I mean, I would have thought...
I was, and this is why I was on my phone for part of the episode, because he's so young. Kirk was 32 years old when he took command of the Enterprise. And am I right in remembering that he was like the youngest captain? Mm-hmm. Okay. Riker, as of the beginning of the series, is 29. So he would have been a captain 3 years younger than Kirk had he taken that command. Now, there's no talk about him being the youngest, maybe somebody else already broke the record. But I thought that was bold to immediately be like, yeah, this guy's better than Kirk. He can be a captain even younger. I don't know.
I mean, does better have anything to do with age, really? But I mean, was Kirk the youngest at the time? Did they say that?
Yeah, I think
so.
We both think so, yeah. So, yeah. So, I don't know. It just seemed to me like... And now we know that Riker won't get his own command for another, 15 years. So, it's odd that he's chosen. And the way they phrased it, he thought... Well, like you said, Keith... he said something about,
at the time.
At the time,
Yeah.
I thought I could learn something. ...
Yeah.
But to be fair, Riker's character over the next 7 seasons does undergo a little bit of a transformation. By season 3 or so, he's much more reserved and much more Picard-like, whereas right now he's still kind of Kirk-like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think you've talked about specifically, Jimmy-Jerome, that his whole thing was kind of like, no, I'm not ready to be a captain. I want to learn all these other things so I know what I'm doing when I become a captain.
And that's admirable.
Yeah.
That's real admirable.
Yeah.
And eventually he will be a captain, obviously.
Of course.
Obviously.
I mean, that seems... It feels like it was late for that to come up. I mean, did they ever mention anything or even hint at that before?
I don't think so, but they'll certainly bring it up a lot more as the series goes on. Because he will be offered several more commands before the show's over.
I think it was, surprising because of the Kirkishness of his character that he would also not be...
Yeah.
Jump right at it.
Expecting the ambition to be part of it as well.
Yeah.
And he has ambition, but it's tempered ambition. And I think even in only serving under Picard for 6 months or whatever it is at this point, I think he's learned a lot of that patience and hanging back and biding his time from Picard.
It feels like it would have had to have been longer somehow. Well, I guess it's because of... how long ago did we start, in real time this season? I don't even remember.
I don't remember. I want to say August-ish?
That
July?
sounds right, yeah.
July or August?
So it's almost
warmer.
Yeah, so it's almost real time in that sense.
Yeah. We're going to finish it up, and sorry to break the fourth wall, but we're going to finish up March-ish.
Yeah.
So...
Funny.
Yeah.
The Drake is another Seinfeld reference. Love the Drake, hate the Drake. Rick Overton played the Drake. Anyway.
My only other thing was an Archer reference. And that was really because of when they got the recording on screen, and I was really hoping to go, you fell for it again. The running gag from Archer, the whole voicemail thing.
Oh, yeah. I finally started watching it, so now I know what you're talking about.
So, the AI in this episode, we've run into many times where Star Trek has trouble envisioning what the future would actually be. The fact that speaker sitting on my counter right now, whose name I won't say because I don't want to
Right.
the one from Amazon, is way more advanced than this thing that runs a planet.
Yeah.
That's pretty telling.
Yeah.
This AI, he's totally just a recording. It bothered me that Data had to tell them it was a recording.
Right.
Because I'm like, it's pretty obvious it's just a recording. He doesn't interact at all.
Right. But then later he does.
Yeah!
Which is...
Well, no.
And obviously Drake was a little more interactive.
Yeah.
But at the same time, Drake knew Riker's last name that he served in the Enterprise, but he didn't even know Riker's first name.
Yeah.
So, where's he getting his information from?
How did that work?
Complete?
Well, right.
Was Drake's dying words, my friend Riker on the Enterprise will avenge me.
Oh, well...
No, Drake is the ship.
Right.
Paul Rice.
Oh, you're right.
Okay, I was
Right,
like, wait,
you're
what?
right.
But, I guess it was explained by, they said when they had Riker in the protective thing.
The soap bubble?
That's when they extract all that information. So they must have done that to Paul Rice.
Yeah.
And got all the information out of him.
But he couldn't get his first name.
Right.
Well, all right. There's a couple of things.
Maybe Riker wasn't as important to Paul Rice as Paul Rice was to Riker.
Oh.
Maybe that's what it was. Yeah.
I want to explore that.
Yeah.
It didn't. All right. Wait a second. First, let's go back to the AI thing.
Yes.
For a program like that, it would seriously be on rails. It's just like it's a dressed up version of a yes/no prompt. Essentially, if you have somebody in a sales room,
Right.
you wouldn't want to have it like, sure, I can read your mind. I can take you off world. This is going to be pertaining to just the sales interaction. As far as, they didn't really make it clear. I guess I assumed at the time that it's extracting some information from the Drake, the ship itself at some point, or some official. Do you think it was reading
That's a
Riker
good
in that?
question. I think one of you guys said it's a very TOS episode also in the sense that it's one of those computers running a planet more or less. And it is interesting once they realize, it killed everyone to make this sale, and which is a very 80s kind of commentary on arms dealing and arms control.
It does bother me how it, first of all, destroyed everybody on the planet without anybody turning it off.
Right.
Because they built it in the first place.
That seems real obvious.
Like, that's Skynet level stuff. But if it was Skynet, the planet would be a smoking ruin. And instead, it's an overgrown jungle.
Right.
So that begs the question, were there only like 10 people living in the world anyway?
That's a good question.
And also, how long ago was it abandoned that everything's buried in cover? Because Picard and the Enterprise seem to think like, hey, we've had recent contact with these people. They're fine.
Right.
It was almost like that, what was that television show a couple years ago? It ran like 2 seasons where electricity had gone off and it was 20 years later and everything was already overgrown. And you're like, really? It overgrew that quickly? But it is funny how quick artificial intelligence is going to develop in this series because we know we already have data. But as you go on into DS9 and Voyager, we get holograms, we get intelligent holograms, we get holograms that can treat you like a doctor.
Right.
You know, all of that's coming very, very soon in the Star Trek lifespan.
Well, and it's weird that in the, not only the 20 years since TOS, but in the 100 years since the original series, well, I guess we've got the original writers, but their thinking about AI is still very similar.
Oh, and because these characters have no inkling that could even be like a thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, you serve with data.
Right.
You don't think there's any other artificial intelligence out there?
And you have all these records of the Enterprise with Kirk and those guys running into these kind of things. Yeah. This should be textbook.
Kirk kept really bad records.
Yeah.
But Spock did it, so...
I don't understand.
He just wrote it in Vulcan and none of them speak Vulcan.
Maybe that's what it was.
So it made me think of several things to spin off from that. But I mentioned at the beginning that I remembered how they sewed it up at the end, essentially, how they solved it. But then I couldn't remember if there was a TOS episode just like this, because it was similar to the Pleasure Planet thing.
Short
Leave,
something like that.
Short-Leave,
right? Yeah.
They just weren't trying to get their money.
Right.
Yeah.
They were doing it just for the pleasure of taking care of them.
But it felt like something else happened.
Return of the
like
Archons, I think they end up blowing up the computer, don't they? Which was the god. And then I can't remember in A Taste of Armageddon if they end up doing that in that one also.
But I guess it's closer to the shore leave thing because it seemed like the planet was just there to try to help them, but there was also that element of we'll give you danger, but it's not real danger as long as you tell us you're satisfied with the
right. Well,
something about the experience.
Say the magic words.
Right. Something. And
Cha-ching.
yeah, so were they just jumped? I guess the question I had written down there was there evidence that the creators were actually destroyed by this thing, or was it just an assumption?
Said it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just said, "Oh, this is what happened."
I mean, you guys made a good point about it. Like, maybe the planet was never really meant to be populated; it was just there for the purpose of that demonstration.
Maybe.
But they could have just left. And
I will say this episode has 4 writers on it.
Yeah.
So anytime you split, story by Maurice Hurley and Robert Lewin, teleplay by Richard Manning and Hans Beimler.
Yeah.
Anytime you split credit between that many people, it's going to be a little disjointed. And this episode did feel disjointed to me.
Yes.
Did not feel cohesive.
It's as if they literally wrote one set wrote one part and the other two wrote the other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because then it didn't really. The last question I had written there was. Did the bridge crew actually succeed independently from the end of the demo? Because it felt like that should have just been like a deactivation, but there was still something out there trying to get them, right?
Right.
Because they did the...
and I didn't understand why the salesman wasn't like, okay, sounds good. Here's how you pay us. Then we'll...
Yeah.
I guess they could still shut off the demo, but they still should have been like, all right, you got to pay us.
That's the sequel, is that the sales people come after them.
Collect.
For not payment.
I mean, it seems like a very simple solution that, again, maybe if there were only 16 people on the planet, okay, yeah, but it didn't feel, it felt like there was a civilization there of some sort, or a colony at least.
Yeah. So, they always have that future credit system, which is always sort of nebulous, the idea of there's just like something on their arm or something.
Right.
Okay, scan now.
Yeah.
But I guess it also would be expecting there to be some sort of human salesperson to be working in conjunction with it. So like, okay.
Yeah.
Now over to your rep.
I got to talk to my manager.
Yeah.
Kind of a thing. It's an interesting concept. It's weird that I think, again, just like some of the original series, it's like I feel like they just didn't take the next step with it. Actually, the original series maybe did a better job with it. But, I mean, again, I think it's a very 80s mutual assured destruction kind of Cold War. We build these arms up and they turn against us kind of a thing. So I get that aspect of it.
That whole name, I guess, was meant to evoke that kind of look how ridiculous we're being. Arsenal of Freedom, and we're just weapons. This is so fun. The way the recording was making it sound to try to make it seem like appalling to people. Like, really?
I think you're right, and I think definitely they turned against us.
This was the Cold War era.
It was.
I think that definitely influences
absolutely
the way this was presented.
Yeah, it felt very Roddenberry to me, even though I know he didn't write it, but
I'm sure he probably did a pass.
I'm sure he did. And I don't necessarily mean that. Not necessarily in a bad Roddenberry way. It felt like a Roddenberry.
I guess it's the first time I noticed how easily his name can sound like an adjective.
Yeah.
It's
I Roddenberried it.
Yeah.
No, not a verb, but just like airy, the airy on it.
Oh,
like,
I see.
It's kind of Roddenberry.
Speaking of the original series, I thought Logan, was he supposed to be head of engineering?
Yes, he was the chief engineer.
So this is like
This was our fourth.
They're like
chief
Spinal
engineer.
Tap drummers at this point.
Vito Ragunas or Ragunas.
That's who played him?
Played him.
Okay.
He is best known for Moneyball. The original, The Fast and the Furious.
Oh wow.
Broken Arrow.
Okay.
He recently did 19 episodes of NCIS Los Angeles.
Okay.
He's been around. This is his one and only appearance, I believe. But he was very much like the Admiral or Commodore.
That's what I wrote. I wrote as the Commodore, Logan, because it didn't matter what Geordi did, he was going to tell him he did it wrong.
Right.
I think you were the one who was like, didn't he just say we got to get out of here?
Yeah.
And now I took us out of here. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was no pleasing him.
No, and it was just like, I know it was to inflate the drama or whatever, and it was... It could have even worked. It just seemed poorly executed. Mm-hmm. I mean, it makes sense that somebody would be like, as you pointed out, Jimmy, that, hey, there's other people of higher rank that should be doing this. That makes sense in a sense. But just for him to just be like, well, whatever you do, it's the wrong thing and blah, blah, blah. And then I thought maybe they reached a level of respect when he's like, well, you're going to run the saucer. You're going to take that or whatever.
Well, the way they delivered that, first of all, was hella cheesy.
It was.
I'm putting you in command of the saucer.
Yeah.
It's just like... they built that up, and the way they did the commercial break, everything said LaForge is giving in.
Yeah.
And then he just is like, the saucer.
Oh, man.
I mean, at that point, you're LaForge just rubbing salt in his wounds. You're just messing with him.
Yeah.
They got me on that, unfortunately.
Me too. And I think I just complained last week or recently about the saucer and but I liked it. I liked it in this episode.
I liked it a lot.
It was
Those
really,
were my favorite
cool.
elements.
And the fact that it wasn't the end all of it. It was like, these things still are functioning, and we stayed with it. And it was weird looking at the Enterprise without the saucer. It felt like you guys didn't finish your effects or something, or like like when I get my hair cut and it's like, I feel like my hair's still there. It felt that way, that the saucer should still be there, which I thought was a cool effect. It was really cool.
Yeah.
It seemed,
And so did Geordi and those guys go to like an alternate bridge?
The battle bridge.
Yeah.
That's on the lower side.
I thought that was cool.
oh.
Yeah, we saw that in the pilot.
Yeah. I
I
thought
didn't-
that was cool.
But it seemed like it was just the four of them.
Right.
Well, it couldn't have been because there was somebody in sickbay to say Crusher's fine.
Oh, that's right.
So, yeah, it would definitely have been a very skeleton crew, but the fact of the matter that Worf jumped from one station to another at one point, like, you could have taken one more person for the battle bridge. I also
thought so.
found it a little odd that Troy didn't just go with them, because last time she did do the battle bridge.
Yeah.
She could have manned a station. And so Troy, at this point in the series, is a lieutenant commander. So she outranks Geordi, she outranks Worf, she outranks...
Logan.
Yeah, she does outrank Logan.
I feel like you would. I feel like you would want her on the saucer with all the people, though. If something's just kind of.
Well, yeah, because you don't trust Logan.
Well,
that
plus,
too.
this world of people are gonna be freaking out.
She had a bad feeling about Logan.
But so I get that Troy at this point isn't in command track. Eventually she will be.
Sure.
But she's not a command officer. She's just a member of the medical staff that serves under Dr. Crusher. So she's not really in the chain of command. Yeah, technically.
Okay.
She's not really in the chain of command, so it makes sense to pass over her even though she's higher ranked. but at least a full lieutenant, right? Not one of these lieutenant junior grades who's still in training.
I felt like she was only here in this episode to deliver that speech to Geordi that, hey,
well,
you're doing good.
For most of the episode until then, she was just looking at everything.
Right.
She had no lines. She was just staring.
They would show that shot of her just looking. It's like, what is this shot for?
And again, I'm thinking, like, no wonder she thinks she's going to get fired.
Right.
Because what the hell?
Right.
I felt like the scenes were doing what they were supposed to. I mean, I felt like she was actually doing like the right thing with her. I mean, I understand what they were trying to communicate.
Yeah.
But yes, it seemed.
And to be fair, I'm not complaining because I thought Marina Sirtis looked fantastic in this episode. So I did not mind the camera lingering on her. Don't get me wrong, but it didn't really serve her character much.
This was my favorite Troy episode thus far, honestly.
Yeah, there you go.
And I'm not a big fan of this episode. I think you guys both like it better than I do. And despite all of my complaints about Geordi and the ranks and all that stuff and the way delivery of lines, and, you know, I feel like those are legitimate complaints. There was still something about seeing him in command, seeing him find the confidence, make the decisions that I really liked. When he said engage and echoed Picard's command, and then gave the junior officers, there was another lieutenant junior grade who was his same rank, and then an ensign, gave them like the boost of like, you guys have earned your spot. Yeah. I don't know. I really liked LeVar Burton. I really liked the emotional part of Geordi's plot, even if I thought it logically didn't totally make sense.
Yeah. And I like the Worf interaction too. He's also felt a little bit more natural than he normally would have in those positions.
Yeah, I like that too.
Well, Geordi and Worf, at least, as they're portrayed in season 1, are like junior officers coming up together. I feel like they're peers. They're in the. They're like your classmate you rely on. So yeah, of course Worf's got his back on this. You know?
Yeah, I feel like for a situation that felt like they really shoehorned it in. You know, and everything. I thought it was fine, and you know, and I always loved the actual. I mean, if this was Kirk running the battle scene, I'd be like, that was great. So I mean, I enjoy the naval adventure kind of aspect and the tactical stuff and everything, and you know, we're taking them into the atmosphere so we can find them, kind of stuff. So I enjoyed that.
What about the ending of that sequence where Picard's like, "Oh, Mr. LaForge, I expect my ship back in complete peace."
Yeah,
I love those laugh lines.
That was okay. That was all right.
I liked that line. I liked that Riker then took a station behind him. I really wanted, and I misremember, I don't know, wishful thinking. I really wanted Picard to go grab a station too, and he didn't. He didn't. He just stood back there. But that would have been cool if he grabbed the security or something.
Getting back to the saucer separation, I forgot to mention that it seems like there should be many more situations where that would be a logical course of action.
Yeah.
I mean, there are many other battles or situations where it seems like, you know.
It was a budget thing. Like,
if they're just going to reuse the footage, though, I mean,
they did reuse part of the encounter. Part of the footage in this episode was from Encounter Farpoint, and the Battle Bridge set was already built, but it was still an expensive effect. Anytime you wanted to do anything with it, other than just, you don't want to just reuse the same sequence every time.
Right.
You have to add something to it, and it was very expensive to do space shots because it was all models and.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was halfway through DS9 before they got any computer generated effects.
I forgot like where we are and
all
like,
models.
It's
We're
just
still 100% models.
I know it's a big deal when they separate, but when actually watching it happen, it seems like they're just taking down the top on their convertible kind of a thing. Like, oh, we can do this anytime we want. We'll just put it back up. It's real simple.
I will say this is a comment Keith made. For a model and for the era, they did a great job making it look great. And even in the opening credits, seeing the people through the window as the Enterprise pulls away, that's pretty impressive for 80s technology.
Yeah, I think we've talked about how we take for granted how good the planet flybys and orbits and everything like in the Enterprise look.
The planets in Next Gen compared to the planets in the original are just
night and day.
Yeah.
You know, if I hadn't noticed the people in this episode in the beginning, it wouldn't even have occurred to me that, oh yeah, wait a minute. If they're in the different section, that's where the bridge would have been ordinarily before, but now, so
the bridge is at the very top in the middle, just like in the original Enterprise. And you will notice that most of the windows are still just solid color blocks, but in the original series they all were. So this is an upgrade. That occasionally we get to see people through the window. And like I mentioned, I know this is weeks ago for you listening. It's weeks ago in reality. In the premiere of Star Trek Picard, they actually redid the Enterprise D in full 2020 technology of special effects and did a great shot from space into, or maybe it was in 10 forward out or whatever. We got from space and into 10 forward the bar, and it was just amazing. I'm so excited to see it opened up. Another thing I want to mention about something I noticed about the Enterprise in this episode is in the back of the bridge, from our perspective to the left, from everybody sitting on the bridge, it would be to the right, there's a hallway that exits the bridge. They don't have to use the turbo lifts to exit, which the original series was a contained room.
Yeah.
Although I get really upset when, like, Star Trek 2009 just completely makes the Enterprise unrecognizable. In Discovery, they've kind of split hairs, where it's recognizable as the original series Enterprise, but it's been upgraded because you have to. And they did a great shot, like, the second we got on the bridge of the original Enterprise in Discovery, where Pike walks around and suddenly you see perspective that there is a hallway at the back of the bridge.
Okay.
But it's just the way you're sitting. And you know it doesn't actually gel with the 60s, but it was clever enough that you're like, okay, from a straight-on shot, you don't see the hallway, but if you go around, there it is.
And I like how the Orville gets around that. They're just like, screw it. We've just got a giant hallway to the bridge right in the back, and that makes total sense.
I mean, it makes sense that the bridge isn't on the deck by itself.
Yeah.
It really does.
Yeah.
I mean, in the Enterprise D, we know there's a bathroom and a ready room off of the bridge.
That's right.
But
That's right.
the captain's office. Let's jump back to the beginning. They first beam down to the planet.
A planet
like-
with no people. What does that mean?
I thought it was a little good. I don't know. I thought it was
They said there's no life, and then they're like, well, it's a planet with no people. But is people humans? Or is a rock creature a person?
I would
Or
think
Good
people?
point.
I would think any sentient life is a person, I guess,
Yes.
by that
Is people?
definition.
Yeah.
That loose. Yeah, that's good though. That's
It was
Is, is a Horta people?
no, because yeah.
I don't know.
Yes,
Yeah, I don't know.
yes, it is.
I guess they usually mean humanoid when they say people.
That's what I
essentially.
thought.
Carbon
It was like-
based.
So I thought when he was like, well, there's there's not just no people. There's nothing. Although there was. I mean, there was plants.
And you would think, since they've encountered silicon-based life forms and other unusual
Right.
life forms that don't register as life forms,
That their
that
sensors would be.
that they could also be like, something's living down there, but we're not reading anything. There
Right.
could be another type of life form we don't know about.
Yeah.
But then they get down there and they see that big gun covered. First thing they see.
Yeah.
And it bothered me to no end that even though they knew it was dead, Data and Yar just walked right in front of the muzzle.
Right.
I'm like, seriously,
Not
guys?
man.
Seriously, guys?
That's a great point. So I put seeing them materialize in the fog, like that when they're beaming down, made me question the logistics of how the how the transporters work. Because there's fog swirling.
Sure.
They still just get right into it and nothing doesn't really displace or anything. It's sort of like
You get some fog inside you, which kind of sucks.
that's what I would think. I'm like, how's that?
Yeah.
Shouldn't there be like a cone or something that pushes it?
So yeah,
that's just effects.
There'd be an
but still.
outline of fog around you.
Right, or
Yeah.
something. But
That's a good point. Like whatever the Bernoulli's principle, whatever it is,
yeah.
displacement of water kind of
Right.
thing. Yeah.
But that's the way their effects work then, and then really think
Right.
the science of it. But
Right.
still, it made me go,
Well, that's
wait.
a really good point I hadn't considered.
I never noticed
Okay,
it until
Keith,
just then.
you've earned your place on another episode. Come back next week.
It was very TOS soundstage for that planet set. Very fake. And I thought at some point I heard birds chirping,
Yeah.
which
know.
I thought, I guess it.
Well, birds aren't people, so
That's true. Did they say it was an M planet?
I assumed because they're not wearing any breathing apparatus.
They were-
And I guess maybe it could have been lizards chirping, but to me it sounded like Earth birds chirping. It could have been anything.
So when Riker first told Rice, your mother,
Yeah.
did you think he was messing with him?
That's
Yes.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Because then the rest of his sentence, I'm like, oh, he wasn't messing with him, he was sincere. But then the very next
Right.
sentence is, I'm from the ship Lollipop.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
good ship.
Yeah.
I love the delivery of that. Just
Me too.
and no reaction from anybody in the scene. Oh, I think that was even better somehow. The
Yeah.
idea that nobody even acknowledged
I
it.
agree.
And I totally buy Will Riker as a Shirley Temple fan. I just do. I think it's one of his guilty pleasures.
Oh,
believe
all right,
that.
so back up at the top of mine, I noted Minos, not Minos, as Picard kept saying.
Yeah.
And it was one of those TOS style things where they put
Pronounce
this
it different ways.
this mythological reference in it, but didn't really do anything with it
Right.
this time. I was expecting, okay, there's gonna be like a minotaur or
Right.
a labyrinth or something,
Right.
but no,
That's
it's
what
just,
I thought too.
Just Minos.
Yep.
Okay. Is it maybe something about war or something? The fact that it was
I
a
don't know. That's
weapons
what
planet.
I was
just-
trying to connect something too, and I couldn't.
I don't know. That robot that was chasing and shooting at them.
Yeah.
God, it was slow.
It was very Nomad to me.
It was.
And I just watched part of the Changeling the other day, so that's on my mind. But the way it got improved just made me think and it felt like video game when they were shooting at it at first. And then, and then
I'm moving my hand laterally, by the way.
and then each level, they were like, this next one's even better. It's like in a video game, you're like, oh, I'm up to level 3. This thing's getting really fast. It's really moving around. But then by level 8, it's like you have to use several quarters. Sorry, I'm talking 80s terminology.
Quarters, what are those?
Several quarters to stay alive long
Physical
enough to
money?
beat it. Yeah.
Well, at the time, that actually would have been appropriate.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's true. 88. Yeah, it was. Yeah, I was still hanging out in the arcade.
So I think there was a discrepancy between the script and what they could do. Because while the robot was so freaking slow to chase them, on the screen, when we saw the squares for the people, that arrow was jumping all over the place.
Yeah.
I love that.
And I'm like, that's what it probably should have been in current technology.
And I thought they should have looked like, were they completely, I guess the way they had to blow that thing up, they completely destroyed every shred of it instead of finding pieces of it to be like, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
I thought that it looked familiar, and I couldn't really place where I knew it from, or where it felt like something. I put like Cylons or Star Wars or something.
That's
like something, the way that it was shaped, the
It
little
looks kind of like
visor.
the new Lost in Space robot, the top of it.
Okay, might have been something like that.
Just Netflix reboot.
It was a kind of a sleek design. It looks sort of like a handheld phaser itself or something.
Yeah.
Well, it was. I'm sure it was some handheld thing that they just made into a prop. An existing thing. I doubt they molded its own because they didn't do that. They just took existing things and redressed them at the time to save budget. But yeah, it felt a little bit modern in that, like, I feel like that shape's been repeated a lot now, but I'm not sure how much it had been repeated at the time.
Exactly. If I couldn't place it, it felt like something sleek for the time, though.
Yeah.
Something kind of innovative, but.
Were you surprised this was the episode where Yar died? Because when Data threw her,
that was hilarious.
I mean, that she had to have been hurt by that, right?
Right.
No, I mean, he probably used some sort of precision.
And he knew
in the moment.
exactly how to throw her.
She shoulder rolled.
They practiced that all the time in the holiday.
They should.
Well, we saw her doing like some judo type stuff at the beginning, I believe.
Yeah, just
you
the
know
way
how
he
to, you know how to fall.
Yeah.
I know. I know. Comically, though, it looked really.
Oh, it was
sort of
ridiculous.
Wah!
Yeah.
I put in medical terms, Crusher's arm is bad.
I was going to say it was crushed.
See, I didn't. But the interaction at the beginning, though, the little, are you okay? The whole diagnosis process there is just like that. So, how's your arm? Bad. How bad is bad? It's bad. Okay.
Yeah.
Crusher's a classic bad patient. She's like, she's saying that, and then she never even mentions her leg. Like I think you said, Keith, like till much later. Oh, by the way, my leg's about to fall off.
I think she was in shock.
Yeah.
Well, she did say that.
So
And McFadden, Gates McFadden, not McFadden, she does a great job with, like, I felt for her the whole time. Like, she did good pain face, and she also. Roger Ebert used to call it Ali McGraw syndrome from Ali McGraw and Love Story.
I don't remember that.
She was dying of cancer, and the sicker she got, the more beautiful she got.
Oh.
I thought she got better looking and looked more radiant the sicker she got. That may say something more about me.
Yeah, it's probably a fetish or something.
But yeah, that could be something about me.
I was going to say, I don't know how you think Dr. Crusher can look any better than she already looks.
Maybe this is why Colleen suffers from Baron Munchausen syndrome.
That subplot, setting aside for a second how stupid the premise was, started out so promising. There were little moments between them. And as the episode went on, they just kind of dropped it.
Yeah, like,
without any resolution.
We got to resolve this. We got to get out of here.
That was very disappointing because it must be another episode where Picard and Crusher are like hurt and together that they get in deeper because this was. I mean, we did learn about Crusher's grandmother being a colonizer, which was an interesting bit.
Yeah.
But other than that, it was very much like, first of all, I could see why you beamed Crusher down maybe with Riker.
Sure.
There was no effing reason Picard should have beamed down.
Well,
nobody should have let him.
Troy says that, so
Right,
yeah.
but Picard himself shouldn't have had such bad judgment.
Yeah.
Like, it was very much like, this is an extremely dangerous situation.
TOS, there you go.
We've already got our XO in trouble, but that's the reason we have Riker, so Picard doesn't keep putting himself in danger.
Right.
It's I think.
I will say the best bit of acting from Gates McFadden, though, was that fall, where she drops things, still spins. Like, I loved that.
Yeah.
It seemed really authentic
It
to
did.
me.
Yeah.
Well, Stephen had the comment, no.
No. Yeah, it was very believable.
And Picard grabbing her and getting pulled, like, it could have been, it was comical, but also it seemed more realistic to me than just falling.
Yeah.
Like, you get that moment of unbalance where you could not fall and then do.
And did they say it was 11 meters? Because it didn't look like 30 feet.
11.7.
Didn't look like, that's like 36 feet or like...
it's like 4 stories.
I didn't even do the math.
Four or 5 stories.
Yeah, like...
And Picard was fine.
Yeah, and it didn't look that far when Data jumped down. It didn't look that far.
Yeah, no, it didn't.
The way it was shot, too. They kind of like did a broken... But
it was very Raiders of the Lost Ark when they're looking through the hole and they jump down, but there were no snakes.
Thank goodness, because I hate snakes.
Yeah, thank you.
why does it always have to be snakes? There's a lot of sawdust or something down there. Maybe that cushion Picard.
It was backstage at Mad Lab.
Those
That's
are the
how we
remains
saw
of those are the remains of the snakes.
Yeah.
Those are actually all the people the machine killed.
Yeah. Well, and I think one of you guys said that the sawdust should keep the wound.
Yeah.
I think I
That's
joked about
how.
that.
That's how they didn't die when they fell.
That's
they saw
exactly, yeah.
sawdust landing.
Yeah.
Well, so obviously that was a vehicle or some method for them to get to the control system and do the thing of...
yeah, but they could have made the fall less.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I just jumped right ahead.
What if you just fell 10, 12 feet? Pressure hurt her leg, you couldn't stand on her shoulders, you'd still couldn't get out.
I mean, how did they get to that control panel?
I wondered about that too. Maybe that hole was some other...
It was an elevator.
Yeah, like that.
Maybe, okay. And
you know how they had those... okay, I'm thinking of Westworld, which you may or may not have seen.
No.
That there was something similar to that device of having like a camouflaged ground where it would raise up into an elevator and then lower back down in.
Which is very short-lived in my mind.
Yeah. That too. But I
Westworld ripped off Star Trek.
when I was jumping around just then, I was more thinking about like your thought about it being like a weird subplot for them to even put in. Mm-hmm. And it felt like they were going to do more with that interaction than they did, but I think they're trying to be efficient, and it kind of...
Yeah.
Yeah, they're both doing this, they're bonding, and also discovering this panel.
Yeah, but they didn't really let them bond. They teased like they were going to bond and then stopped them short of it. It felt contrived to give Crusher a moment with Picard, and although it should have been more of a moment, and also let Geordi take command.
Yeah, I'm not saying it was executed well, I'm just saying I could kind of see what they were trying to do with it, and it just...
Well, I think it was, again...
I think all these things sort of suffered as a result.
It was another, I think, instance of too many people messing with the script.
Yeah, and her being in that condition or whatever, where she's, whatever, in shock and foggy and whatever, it's very much an improv we talk about. If you smoke or if you're getting high or drunk, you're going to make some kind of very personal revelation. And I feel like that's where it was going. Yeah. But... like I said, we other than her grandmother or whatever, we didn't get any other real revelation.
The only thing that was like a hint of something more was when she's like, "Oh, there's all kinds of things you don't know about me."
Yeah.
And I was like, "'Cause she loves him." And Keith's like, "Yeah, that's what we're supposed to take away from it."
Right.
There was that little bit of like the close up of the face.
Right.
And she did the and that's an expression.
Well, every time he said, "I'm sorry, I'm going to have to do this," it's like, "What are you going to have to do?" But then he just hurt her or whatever, tried to help her. In the original series, whenever we had these two storylines going on, you had Scotty on the ship, and Scotty was just like, "Screw you, Commodore. Da-da-da, here's what we're doing, blah, blah, blah." But it makes sense. And that was...
Well, and that only gives Scotty 1 minute of screen time, and Geordi got more.
That too. And, like you said, it points out Scotty was he'd been around a while, obviously.
Yes.
He knew every inch of the ship. Kirk trusted him. That's why he often left him in the con.
Geordi and Worf are basically the Chekhov at this point.
Yeah.
So it's like leaving Chekhov at command.
And then I thought it was interesting when I think it was Troy was like, "Well, they have no battle experience." I was like, "Well, how do you get battle experience without being in a battle? This is perfect. This is perfect for them." you know.
I did like the fake out where Troy went to Geordi and you thought
I did too. I totally, I totally thought it was going the other way.
So I didn't think she was going to try to relieve him or anything.
No, I didn't
but
think
I
that.
like that he thought that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it was a surprise for the audience, but it was a surprise for the character, and that was interesting.
Yeah.
I felt a little. I mean, she was still giving him some advice, but yeah, it did feel. Yeah, it felt to me like it might have been a little bit more severe than that.
Yeah, if she thought that he shouldn't be in command, she would have spoken up sooner. In my opinion.
A couple of the guest stars, Vincent Schiappelli played the sales guy.
The Peddler.
The Peddler.
According to IMDb.
What else is he in? I know
He
looks,
was
Best known for Tomorrow Never Dies,
all right.
Ghost,
Ghost. Yeah, he.
Fashion Times
okay.
at Ridgemont High.
That's right, he's the
he's in
teacher.
so many
Death
things.
to
I know
Smoothie.
that
Yeah.
He
face.
died in 2005 at the age of 57.
Yeah, lung cancer. But yeah, great character actor.
Yeah.
He was in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest too. Yeah.
He was in The Pooch and the Pauper, the TV movie.
Huh.
That's probably where you know him from. Also, he did a voice in Hey Arnold, the movie.
Huh.
He was Mr. Bailey.
Yeah. I feel like his Wikipedia page isn't complete. I feel like it's just like.
Yeah. No, I'm sure IMDb probably goes on.
Yeah,
everything
IMDb
else.
probably has everything, but he's.
He's got a lot of credits
He
for having
does.
died so early.
Yeah, he was.
But he was never in Seinfeld, so do we really care?
Yeah, he's in Fast Times. He was in a Batman movie. Ensign Leanne Sue. Julie Nixon. She was Rambo's love interest in Rambo First Blood Part 2.
And yet, that's not even one of the top 4 movie things she's best known for. She's best known for China Cry, a true story.
Okay.
What?
Noble House with Pierce Brosnan.
All right. Yeah.
Life Tastes Good, she played the woman.
Huh.
And Babylon 5.
Oh, okay.
The algorithm for that, I don't know how they decide.
Yeah.
what is
Well, they
most
definitely
common.
prioritize movie over TV, which ticks
Yeah.
me off to no end.
I'm so amazed Rambo wasn't first on there, but that's.
But she is still active. She is still an active
Yeah.
actress.
She was great in Rambo First Blood Part 2, but I think.
She was in Ready Player One, uncredited.
Oh, that's right. That was on there too.
She will also guest star in an episode of Deep Space Nine as
Okay.
Cassandra. It's a different character.
I loved her in Rambo First Blood Part 2, to be fair.
And our other guest star
Not a
that
great
we
movie.
haven't mentioned yet, who played Lieutenant Solis,
Yeah.
George De La Pena.
Solas, or how are they saying it? Solis?
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 Slotso?
Solus, I think.
I
Was
don't
it?
know. He's only got 21 credits on IMDb. He's best known for the 1995 movie Mighty Aphrodite.
Oh, yeah. Woody Allen.
He was also in Nijinsky.
Okay.
Fashion.
Fashion.
I mean, other than what the peddler was wearing.
Yeah, I think that was about it, right? Yeah.
That was a fine outfit for a peddler, I guess.
Yeah, it
Not particularly memorable.
It looked very similar to what I thought his teacher wore in Fast Times at Ridgemont High when they do the autopsy, or they do the whatever, they cut open a cadaver. Gnarly, dude.
The drone had a good skin. Yeah.
The drone did.
Whatever they did with that.
Alternate episode.
Logan commanding the saucer. And somebody's challenging his authority probably over there. So it never ends. The other one was just, and this is just personally, is Ensign and Sue off hours. So
My alternate episode is as the saucer's flying away, they let Troy drive and it crashes into him.
she takes over Logan's command, and
And then she crashes the ship.
I was going to point out that maybe she would be the one doing that just to mess with him.
Yeah.
The one who's like challenging his authority the entire time. I outrank you technically in the whole thing. I forgot to. I had one last note. Geordie's not backing down before, but we kind of covered that. I mean, I really like the way he presented himself through all of that.
Absolutely.
The other thing was their solution to kill, I guess, Drone 3, Level 3, was to cross the streams.
yes, I thought the same thing. I almost said it.
Ghostbusters.
Yeah, they brought it in there, and they're just like,
Yeah.
So for the 5th time this season, Wesley did not appear.
Yeah.
So we do not have an annoyance ranking for him because we've decided to abstain when he's not in it. But who was your annoying person of the episode?
I think these are all pretty obvious, but
I'm gonna get yours before mine. Then I want to know who you think's obvious. I think there's a lot of contenders in this episode.
Probably Logan. Yeah, the Commodore.
Keith.
Yep. I mean, it's not the character's fault, I suppose, but
yeah.
they wrote him that way.
They did.
But that worked. It was just, I just wanted, come on, man, just like give him some space. That whole thing. Just,
Well, it may have worked if he didn't immediately contradict himself.
Right.
that's it. I mean, so I wasn't crazy. He really did say,
Yeah.
we
Yeah, no,
need to
you
get out
were
of here
right.
now. or
Which
we're
is
gonna
what those
destroy
Commodores
him."
are doing, what McCoy would always
Right.
do, like, we gotta save Spock. What are you doing? You're gonna risk the ship to save Spock? It's like, wait a minute, you just
Yeah.
Get off my bridge.
I just thought of another alternate episode where when Data throws Yar, she dies. But like McCoy and Shoreleaf, the planet puts her back together,
There you go.
and she comes up
There
with
you
a
go.
yellow feathered showgirl on each arm.
Oh man, that'd be great.
That does remind me of how quickly that they were like, Crusher's fine when they beamed back up.
Yeah.
Leanne Sue was like, oh, Dr. Crusher's going to be fine. I was like, what? Speaking of McCoy, what? She just had some frostbite. She'll be fine. Didn't she break an arm and a leg?
It has a flesh wound.
I mean, I guess it is in that time they can probably fix her a lot faster.
But really, she beams up, and the doctor from across sick bay goes, "Oh, she's dead." And then they're like, "Wait, check," and she goes over. "Oh, she's not dead. Let me try to heal her." Because we constantly get the evaluations from across the room.
That's true.
For the record, I am going to go Logan as well, but I think there's a lot of contenders in this episode because a lot of people acted out of character and ridiculous.
That's fair.
Well, example. I mean,
Rice was dumb.
Yeah.
Picard beaming down was dumb. Geordi with the whole, like, you're in charge of the saucer was dumb. There was so much that was dumb about this episode, in my opinion.
all right. Yeah.
Okay, men, women of Star Trek.
I am going to go with Ensign Leanne Sue. I'm going to break up my Brenda Strong.
I figured you would. It definitely felt like you were heading that way.
Yeah. I will say Brenda Strong is going to win the season, but
First and last
Just
name.
for a change.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
We still have a few
Sorry.
episodes left. You don't know
that's
that.
true. Something could happen. Something could happen.
You don't know.
Change my mind.
Keith, you still have Tashanik.
This is like a no-brainer, obviously.
Are you sure? Because I thought you liked how sleek those robots were.
Right. I will say that. No. My first thought, the thing I didn't know we could. Obviously, I can probably say this. It's just that the drones did sort of look like a sex toy of some sort.
Yeah, they did.
They
Yes,
did.
they
It
did.
really did look. It was like, huh? Maybe that's why it looked familiar. Who knows? But yeah, Leanne Sue.
I'm really bummed. This is your only episode, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
I'm sticking with Oleana from Coming of Age. I'm not there yet.
Okay.
It's only my third episode with her, so we'll get there, I guess.
Was that the test girl?
Yeah.
Okay.
The one that
Wesley.
Wesley had the crush on Wesley.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wait. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
At the right.
The PSAT test.
From the same episode as Tashanik, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Ranking the episode. See, I would start at least halfway down, but
That's where I would.
that's
That's where I
fair.
would put it.
Okay.
Somewhere in the middle.
I mean, I loved it, but it goes in the middle.
let's go with another weird intelligence. 11001001. Better or worse?
What? Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought you were doing like a Bender bit for us or something like.
No,
telling us that-
I'm asking, is it better than or worse than the episode 11001001?
I think I like this one better.
Was it the binary piece?
Yeah.
Of course. That's what. Sorry. Duh. All right.
Just like the rest of the universe is binary.
Better. Yeah. And so do you
Yeah,
say
this
This
better?
might be recency bias, but yeah, I think I like this.
Oh, okay.
Well, I mean, what's immediately above that? I mean.
Yeah.
Coming of Age.
Oh.
Oh.
I definitely like Coming of Age better, but I liked 11001001.
What was below 1110?
Data lore.
Oh no! Wait. Wow. Okay. Well, no, there's definitely better lore episodes than that.
I can't-
Yeah, but I would have put this below Data lore myself.
Wow.
Wow.
But obviously, if you two overrule me, you could overrule me.
No, I mean, wait, if I stop and
I'm
think.
glad we're not debating this just the
That's
two
right.
of us.
That's
It's a good thing Keith's here.
Yeah.
No, if I stop and think about it for a second, really, there was a lot more going on in those other episodes. Well,
There was a ton going on in this one, just
Yeah.
not good.
Yeah.
man, I don't know. The dialogue is feeling a little less clunky in certain places, although certainly there was a little bit of like they were trying trying a little bit too hard to make
Yeah.
LaForge smooth in that, and Riker doing his classic casual pose. I forgot to point that out. Where immediately he saw Rice and immediately went up to do the
crouch,
Captain Morgan pose.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, that was
I
weird.
like
But-
that. I
That
like
was-
that.
I do like it, but it's still
It was very Riker to me.
yeah.
It's like he normally flips the chair around backwards, but if there's no chair,
Right.
he'll put his leg up. I mean, just for my own personal, like, looking through this, I think I would put it right below Data Lore, so not all the way at the bottom. But you guys wanted above 11001001. What about Coming of Age?
Oh man, below that I would
I
think.
could probably, I could
It's-
live with it being there.
Okay, put it in 11th place.
Wow.
Below Coming of Age, but above 11001001.
So it's right in,
Can I say that
literally in the middle.
episode title a few more times? Honestly, I think the LaForge subplot was my favorite subplot.
Well, yeah.
All the stuff going on.
Yeah.
Well, that still works really. I mean,
Yeah, and
it weighs
and there
heavily
were flaws
for
with that subplot, but honestly, if the episode was about LaForge taking command and you skip the planet stuff, I'd probably knock this up at least 5 more episodes higher.
That's a very good point.
At least. So.
They tried to do a little bit too much with everything, and then every little part suffered.
Next week, we're going to watch Symbiosis. The Enterprise encounters...
Symbiosis? What's
Symbiosis.
I know. I got it now. I was looking for first. What?
Symbiosis. The Enterprise encounters 2 neighboring cultures, one suffering from a plague, the other marketing a cure, and learns that nothing is as simple as it seems.
Of course.
So if it was one suffering from being too healthy. So
Guest starring Merritt Buttrick. David Kirk himself, or David Marcus himself. He's not playing David Marcus, unfortunately. He's playing T'Jon.
But he's playing another doctor. So essentially, this is just an episode about the American healthcare system. It's not
I don't know. But it's funny because this is only, 3-4 years after he played David Marcus? Not even.
Yeah.
Like, this came real close
3
on the
years,
heels. So as soon as you kill off Kirk's son, you're going to cast him as an alien?
Yeah.
I thought... I'll reserve my judgment. I really liked him as Kirk's son.
I did too.
From the movies.
Yes.
Okay, so that's what David. I was like, wait, David Marcus sounds familiar. Why is that?
Search for Spock was what, 84, 85?
Let me look. Because, he wasn't in Voyage Home.
84.
Search for Spock was 1984.
Okay, yeah.
And this episode aired in
88.
You're right, 88.
Yeah.
So 4 years.
Yeah.
Still, that's really stupid to reuse that actor.
Yeah.
Especially because he played such a role.
A big part, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe they're like, sorry we killed you. We'll put some makeup on you.
Interestingly enough, the episode also guest stars Judson Scott.
I thought I saw him in
who you'll remember as Joachim from Wrath of Khan. He was Khan's right-hand man.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So 2 giant movie guest stars.
Yeah.
Guest star in this episode.
Yeah. All right. That makes me look a little more forward to it.
Me too, because I like both of them.
Yeah, I did too. I thought he was great in Wrath of Khan.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, I mean, I'm trying to put this in modern terms, quote-unquote modern terms for myself, because back then I certainly wouldn't have had the background to pick out little things like that. I guess it's the equivalent of like when I'm watching like DC shows now or something, and somebody shows up from one of the movies, or
So yeah, it's
like past Superman or something. You know,
if you're watching
different actors from the different.
If you were watching an episode of The Flash on the CW right now, and Ben Affleck guest starred as a different character.
Yes, something like that.
Bruce Wayne. That's the level of it. Well, maybe not Ben Affleck.
No,
Jesse Eisenberg guest starred on The Flash.
I will say I was definitely at the end of the 70s and into the 80s. I was so into the original series that if any guest star from that original series showed up anywhere on any TV show, I was like, that's the dude from this episode of Star Trek, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
So I definitely would have, at least during that period. And it was easier, again, 4 channels and then some basic cable, but it wasn't as crazy as now.
Personally, I really like how Star Trek will reuse actors as long as they make them different enough characters.
It kind of makes it that family thing, and they talk about that a lot.
I mean, we haven't got to Jeffrey Combs yet. He plays several major reoccurring characters of different alien species. He plays an Andorian in Enterprise. He plays 2 different aliens in DS9, like both major roles. But because they've got him under all the makeup, he can play very different characters.
And I think Mark Leonard's the original, the OG for that, of course, because he played two giant characters, 26 episodes.
Had they done more with him.
Yeah.
But you're right. Yeah. Absolutely, there's some precedent of that in Star Trek.
I've got a better modern analogy, I guess, because I think with all the cable channels kind of moving up a bit, I think there's different tiers of TV rather than just movie TV. Okay. Like the Whedonverse is a good example, or shows on Sci-Fi, or there's this kind of like you get these groups of actors who work together in a lot of other things. And they kind of cross over to channels.
Christopher Guest movies, or
Oh yeah, something like that.
The Irishman, half the movie I just played connecting like, he
Yes,
was in
Scorsese.
Casino. Oh, this is a reference
Yeah.
to this other thing.
Yeah.
This
Wes
character.
Anderson films.
Yes. Yep.
And honestly, you go back, didn't Shakespeare have a troupe of actors that all
Yeah.
did the shows?
Yeah.
It's a long-running thing. And personally, if I were to do another show right now, I would love to use a ton of the Radio Hour people. And I get
Sure. Exactly.
I would keep my people.
Yeah.
So,
It
anyway.
makes sense.
Next week, you ready? We're coming down to the end here.
Yeah.
Getting close to the end of season 1.
Wow.
And the end of Tasha Yar.
Oh boy.
Not next week, but we'll get to that.
It's coming.
Until then,
Someday.
live
Live
long.
long.
Don't get tossed by Data.
No. And prosper.
It's All Been Done presents.
Who's got the time?